Good morning. Thank you for your wonderful welcome. I was very honored to be welcomed by our California, specifically our San Francisco Escort Committee. Thank you, San Franciscans who are here, and Californians who are here. And I met some folks from Baltimore who are here. Yeah. In any event, we all have many connections. We go back a long way. So coming to see you at CWA this morning is, for me, a family matter. You have been part of the lives of the American people now 70 years ago. Some operators got together and decided to work for better wages, working conditions, benefits, and the rest. That is a value, that is a tradition, that is a vision. Imagine the courage of those people that you all uphold. Your visionary leader, Larry Cohen, oh my goodness, what a force of nature he is. When Larry speaks, when I was hearing him speak about taking back the House and the agenda that we need to implement for America's working families and the reform that we must bring to our whole political system, when he speaks, we all listen, we're all inspired. He is a great leader. Thank you, Larry Cohen, for your leadership and friendship. I also want to acknowledge Secretary-Treasurer Annie Hill. Thank you, Annie. And Jim Whitecamp, CWA Vice President of District 9, which includes my home state of California. And as I mentioned, all of the San Franciscans here today. It's an honor to bring greetings to you from my colleagues in the House of Representatives. We talk about working in districts to take back the House, to achieve the majority. I want you to know how much all of the Democrats in the Congress appreciate your leadership, your friendship, and your support. And I accept the compliments that your distinguished president has extended to me as Speaker, but I accept it on behalf of all of my members who work so hard to make our legislative victories possible and now our electoral victory possible so that we can get back to work, to put people to work. They send you their regard. When I was coming in, I heard the resolution that you had endorsed the re-election of President Barack Obama. Thank you for doing that. I am here at this time because I just left listening to the President at the National Prayer Breakfast. You would have been very proud to hear his expression of values as springing from his inner spiritual life about the justice that we owe the least of our brethren in our society, but the fairness that we owe each other. It was beautiful, it was inspiring, and it is easy to understand why this man, this great president, has tried to treat everyone with respect, including our Republican, shall we say, opponents. And sometimes that respect is not reciprocated, but it is deep within him that we respect every person, and that's what makes him such a great president. So his re-election is essential to the country. His re-election will ensure also we will help each other. As we win the House, we'll help him become president. As he wins the White House, he will help us elect a Democratic Congress, both House and Senate. We have work to do to get that done. Those telephone workers who came together 70 years ago, they had a commitment to values and the respect for dignity of work of every person. And so it was their calling to do something collectively, to do it as a group for the behalf of all. And that calling is one that we share with you. The Democrats in the Congress are committed to reigniting the American dream that those operators had way back then. An American dream which has been the most enduring theme of our country, that the future would be better for the next generation, and that we all had a responsibility to make it so. Reigniting the American dream, building ladders of opportunity for all, removing obstacles for success to all who want to work hard, play by the rules, take responsibility. That is an agenda that we share, and it manifests itself on a regular basis in the legislation we advance or called upon to support. Right now, our fight for fairness and opportunity and ladders of success is centered on the bill that we must pass immediately, which is to extend the payroll tax cut for 160 million Americans. How can it be? Oh, thanks. Thank you. I had a speaking program at the prayer breakfast, too. I guess I lost my voice there. However brief my program. How could it be that the Republicans are saying we can't have a payroll tax cut for 160 million Americans unless we pay for it, but we can keep renewing tax cuts for the wealthiest 1% in our country and not pay for that? It's very important. And by the way, tax cuts for the wealthy unpaid for, that's their jobs program. You ask them what they want to do to create jobs, give tax cuts to the wealthiest people in our country. Unpaid for, that creates jobs. Well, it hasn't. All it has done is deepen the deficit. And it's important for you to know, and I've said to some of you in our telephone conference before, in the second term of the Obama administration, we don't have all the figures for the third year, in the second year of the Obama administration, and second term yet to come. Yes, but it will. But it will. In the second year of the Obama administration, more jobs were created in the private sector than in the whole 8 years of the Bush administration. We still have not seen a jobs bill from the Republican majority in the Congress and the House of Representatives. So, okay, extend that payroll tax cut. The next thing we want to do is to extend unemployment benefits for those who are out of work through no fault of their own. Millions of Americans are depending on that. We want to do these together. Traditionally, we have not paid for the unemployment benefits. People have paid into that. It is their due. But nonetheless, the Republicans are now saying we have to pay for that. No paying for tax cuts for the wealthy, but pay again to the middle class for the unemployment benefits. These two elements, the payroll tax cut and the unemployment insurance benefits extensions, will do more to create jobs because people will spend that money, inject demand into the economy, create jobs. It's not only good for the individuals, it's necessary for our economic growth. We must do that. I'd rather not do it paid for. I'm prepared to do it almost at any cost. And as we do that, we must extend for tens of millions of seniors their opportunity to see their doctor under Medicare. This is very, very important as well. So that's right now. What we're talking about right now as we meet here, legislators are meeting to come to a conclusion. I think it should be very simple. You want to pay for it with a surcharge on the wealthiest people in our country. That's easy. If you don't want to pay for it that way, let's hear what you have to say. But we are not going to grant to the middle class with one hand a payroll tax cut and unemployment benefits and the ability to see their doctors, and take from them on the other hand by saying, and now you're going to have to pay the cost by either seniors paying more or whatever it is. For two reasons. It's just not fair, but it would also blunt the stimulative effect of what these measures can do. So let's just talk about the Republican attack on workers. We know what the fight is about the payroll tax, the unemployment benefits, and all the rest, and we hope that that will be resolved very soon, and like we've said, in another week or two. Last September, as we talk about our reigniting the American dream so that all workers have the opportunity to succeed, the Republicans have a different agenda. Last September, they passed what some have called George Miller a real champion for workers in our country. He labeled it the Outsourcers' Bill of Rights. I went further than that and called their bill the Outsourcers' Bill of Wrongs. And it would gut the National Labor Relations Board. It would make it easier for corporations to ship jobs overseas. Imagine that the Republicans have as the law that they passed and we must overturn, giving tax breaks to companies that ship jobs overseas. Is that insane? Yes. We must change that, don't you think? And then it would allow employers to punish employees for simply exercising their rights to organize, to demand better benefits and safer working conditions to ensure a full day's pay for a full day's work. That's what they proposed in September. But it's been a consistent message for them, and some of it they just want to extend that they did long ago. So while Republicans want to make it easier to outsource jobs, Democrats are instead saying, make it in America. Make it in America. Democrats know that when we make it, as the Democratic whip, Mr. Hoyer, says, when we make it in America, manufacture it here, people can make it in America. Democrats, so we are leading the way. We have it's simple as ABC to us. A, American made. B, build the infrastructure of America. C, community leadership to get this done, and that takes us to your campaign for clean campaigns and taking back our country. On the subject of making it in America, we must stop the outsourcing of jobs from call centers to manufacturing to software development and testing and start insourcing jobs. We must stop the erosion of our manufacturing and technological and industrial base. And we must support our small businesses and entrepreneurs, the engines of economic growth, providing incentives for them to do new hires here and ensuring that they can grow and thrive so that our middle class can grow and thrive. In November, Republicans passed legislation to stack the deck against workers in workplace elections. This legislation would deny workers their right to a free and fair election to form a union. It adds extensive delays to the process as workers organize with a clear intention, as my friend, our former chairman, soon-to-be chairman again, George Miller, said, wearing down workers so that they give up fighting for a better deal. Well, no matter what the bill is, the CWA and your friends in Congress, your Democratic friends in Congress, will never stop fighting for a better deal. They will not wear us down, now will they? As you probably know, from my opening comments, I have great respect for the visionary leadership of Larry Cohen and of the CWA. I have for years. You've been there for America's workers, 70 years at least now, and a brilliant future ahead. I do believe that the fight that we have, and I come here to thank you for your leadership role in what is happening now. We're never really going to have again or strive to get what we need for fairness in our economy, opportunity for all people, respect for and value of work until we change the political climate in our country. It must be done. The fact that special interest in our country can spend unlimited, unidentified money from God knows where, and maybe he doesn't even know where, to spend on campaigns, to deluge, to just flood campaigns with endless money to the tunes of tens and hundreds of millions of dollars to dampen, to lessen the voice of the people. And they couple that with their initiatives to suppress the vote throughout the country. You know this very well. You are in the lead in this fight. But I'm coming here to thank you for that leadership and to commit to you that we cannot reignite the American dream and do all we want for ladders of opportunity unless we offset that money. And that offsetting, it means we have to win the election, to reform the system, to amend the Constitution so that the constitutional, the Citizens United decision will not stand. This undermines the voices of the American people, both by the use of money and by initiatives that throw up barriers, making it harder for people to have access to the voting booth. We have, in the leadership of Jim Clyburn, our assistant leader, he has set up an arrangement where he's going around the country. We complain about the policy. We think it's wrong. We want to win to reverse it. But in the meantime, we're going to make sure that people who are able to vote, have the right to vote, can vote, and that their vote will be counted. So we have an initiative right now to say disclose. The American people have a right to know whose money is coming in from the special interest into elections. In the last election, and Larry and I've had this conversation, in the last election, one of the biggest sources of money, of course, we had Wall Street, and they came in, and big health insurance coming in against us, and big oil, all of that, the usual suspects. But there was an enormous amount of money coming in from people who were against the Employee Free Choice Act, the card check. They fear. They don't want to have the inconvenience, in their view, of workers having the right to bargain collectively. It's just plain wrong. It's just plain wrong. It's just plain wrong. So we have to diminish their, but people would tell me who were at the table and saying, you think it's just Wall Street, big oil, big health insurance, and it is, but it's also all this other anti-labor money that is coming in. Well, if they want to spend that money that way, the American people, their employees, their customers should know that, because that visibility, I think, will help us defeat them. It does in California, where we do have a disclosure law for state elections. So disclose right now. We demand to know. Win the election, and then one of the first bills we would put on the floor would be to reform the system. We want, as our legacy, to be a new politics, free of the special interest money in politics, amplifying the voice of the American people. And as I say, amend the Constitution, which is a longer road, but an organizing tool for us to capture the spirit in our country, that our democracy is not well served by the voices of the people being drowned out by this unlimited money. And again, as you are doing, we must fight to remove those obstacles to voter participation, which President Cohen calls democracy blocks. It does just that. It blocks democracy. Together we must fight. Oh, by the way, to our sisters who are in the audience, I believe that if we reform the campaign system and we have what we call clean elections, where we have diminished the role of money in campaigns, we will do more to increase the number of elected women in public office than anything. We want more women in public office. progressive women. I believe that nothing is more wholesome for the political process than the increased participation of women and minorities, reflecting the full face of America in our elected bodies, making decisions for our families. So again, we don't want to think incrementally about, oh, hopefully we can elect 5 more women or 10 more women this time, this many more Hispanics and that many more African Americans and the rest. We want to think in a transformative way. When our country was founded and people went to Congress, by and large, it was white men. By and large, our country were white people who had the right to vote. That's not what the situation is now. So why can't we have our country's representatives be representative of our country? So it's, my sisters in the crowd will understand my reference to this. It's 9 months until the election. My members kind of quiver when I do these kinds of, shall we say, non-sports references. 9 months. And you know what 9 months is symbolic of. That every single day has to be a strengthening, nourishing day to bring us closer to our victory in that Tuesday in November. So much is at stake. Fairness, opportunity, the thriving middle class, which is the backbone of our democracy. And I dare say, as you well know with and I love this, I can't wait to take it back to my colleagues, broken democracy. We have to fix it. And we can only fix it if we win the election. And we can only win the election if we have the voice of many more people participating. So what you are doing with the power of your ideas, the strength of your mobilizations into your communities to encourage people to vote and to participate. And aren't we proud of what's happening in Wisconsin? Isn't that just a beautiful display of America? So we come here to pay respects to what people did many years ago, decades ago, to create the CWA. In doing so, it's strengthening working families in America, strengthening our middle class, strengthening our democracy. We owe it to our founders to keep it going for our democracy, not to sit back and watch it be broken by the unlimited secret money. We owe it to our men and women in uniform to bring a future worthy of the sacrifice that they make for our country. And aren't we grateful to our men and women in uniform? And thank you, many in this audience who have served our country in that way. They fight for our freedoms. They make us the land of the free, the home of the brave. And when they come home, in the military, there's an expression, on the battlefield, we leave no soldier behind. And when they come home, we Democrats say, and when they come home, we leave no veteran behind. That doesn't just mean veterans' benefits as committed as we are to that and have increased more than since the GI Bill. That means being able for them to get a job, to own a business, to have a family. So we, again, in serving them, honoring them, we, again, strengthen our country. And in addition to honoring the vision of our founders, the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform, it's about the aspirations of our children, coming back to that American dream. Our founders had this in mind, and they declared that our country would exist for the ages. That's what they said on the Great Seal of the United States, for the ages. And it was predicated on the idea that every generation, again, we keep saying it, had a responsibility to make the future better for the next. And that was always the case, and it soon became known as the American dream, and people flocked to our shores in search of it. And every immigrant who came and does come now with their optimism, their hope, their determination to make the future better for America, for their families, makes America more American by their energy and their family values and their commitment to a better future. So thank you for your support of the American Dream Act, the Dream Act for our kids of newcomers to our country. Thank you for so very much, because whether it's specific legislation or it's the bigger vision under which all of this legislation will fit, it's all about having better public policy to improve the lives of the American people, to reignite the American dream. In order to do that, we have to win the election. I feel very good about it. How do you feel? You feel good about it? I feel pretty good about it. Are you ready for a great Democratic victory in November? Are you ready for another Democratic majority? Somebody said to me the other day, you were not only the first woman Speaker of the House, you will be the second woman Speaker of the House.
Best Speaker ever.
But it's not about who's Speaker. It's about the American people and the need for us to have a Democratic majority, whoever is in charge, so that we can work together with newly re-elected President Barack Obama to reignite the American dream. Thank you, CWA, for all that you do. Thank you, Larry Cohen.